Coming up on this edition of Flash Talk, brought to you by Brian Heating and Cooling, head football coach Kenni Burns stops by to talk about Senior Day against Northern Illinois and break down the offseason for the Kent Grit era. Rob Polisky, the voice of the Golden Flashes, stops by to talk about some of his favorite memories here at Kent State. And head women's basketball coach Todd Starkey joins us to talk about some big wins on the road and previews his home game against Coppin State. And that's all coming up in a flash. Welcome into Flash Talk, brought to you by Brian Heating and Cooling. Dan Griffin, alongside head ball coach Kenni Burns, putting a bow on the 2023 season. And coach, obviously a tough one on Saturday, but let's talk a little bit about some of the highlights. Let's start first, obviously, with your first senior class. I know you've talked at length about what they have meant to your program, but I'll give you another platform to sing their praises.
Yeah, just excited for those guys in the next stage of their life. They've done so much for Kent State football, and they've done so much for the grit culture and helping me establish it, and they've been great ambassadors to our university, to our football program, and I would have loved to send them off the right way, but I can't thank them enough for their commitment to everything that we're doing here and what we're building. And they played hard, they played aggressive all year, and just so proud of that group.
And on Saturday, you faced a, pardon the pun, but hungry Husky squad looking for bowl eligibility, and you threw the kitchen sink at them, which I thought you guys had a lot of, I wouldn't say fun, but creativity. You went through all pages of the playbook and let the kids play a little fast and loose.
Yeah, we really wanted to give them a chance to win the game and take our seniors out the right way. And I told our coaching staff, so we can't take it to the offseason with this, so let's make sure we use everything that we've got. And I think our guys embraced that. The thing for me that was encouraging was they went out there and they competed. All the way till the end. And a lot of people on the outside will say this team's got nothing to play for, but we're playing for the growth of our program. And I think that's what was on display. Our program is growing. There's it's a youth movement, I call it. A lot of young guys playing and taking the reins from some older guys that are graduating. But the excitement they play with, the energy they play with, and the effort they play with, to me, was encouraging for our future.
Yeah, because a lot of those, let's call it gadget or trick plays, whatever you want to call them, take some timing and take some know-how on all 11 guys, just like any other play, but even more so when you're flipping the ball to your kicker, which we've said time and again, just wait till we unleash Andrew Glass. He's one of the fastest kids on the team.
He's one of the fastest guys on the team. That is the documented time, and he constantly reminds me of that he's one of the fastest guys on the team. So it was good to get him out there. And he, we tried to fake a punt with him earlier this year, and he kind of ran out of steam. That one, he did not run out of steam. He got to the landmark and got to the point and got the first down.
So we've seen that play before. We called it on social media the gritty special when you flipped. It looked like Luke wanted to throw the ball on the other gadget play, but it wasn't there. And then, being the kind of the wily player that he is, recognizes that it's not there, and calls his own number and takes it in for 6.
Well, let's be clear here. It was there at the beginning when Luke should have threw the ball. But I think he knew he was late, so he was like, I'm not going to make this play any worse than I would have already done. He took it in. He's like, oh, man, I can actually score here. Then he ended up scoring. But, no, it was some fun what we had with those guys. And it was good to see them have excitement and fun with it, too. And I think that's the big thing with college football. Your guys have got to be having fun. And we were struggled this year. We definitely did not reach what we wanted to do this year, for sure. And that's never acceptable in our program. But in the same breath, it wasn't by lack of effort and energy. And that, as a coach, makes it easy to come back to work and try it again.
And it starts, like you said, with the offensive line. We had talked about the youth movement all season long. It got even younger somehow on Saturday with Cecil Wilson coming in and getting his start. But with a drop-back passer like Devin Cargman, you're putting even more pressure on an offensive line to give him a clean pocket. And I thought not only did they do that against an aggressive pass rush, but Devin started to get comfortable, especially as the game went on.
Yeah, you got to credit Matt Johnson for the game plan. I thought he had a great game plan. I think he's grown so much as a coordinator over the year here of just finding ways to put his offense in positions to do what they do best. And I think he knew we were struggling a little bit up front with a lot of new faces. So some of the stuff he called was able to protect them, and to protect our protection a little bit even more and keep Devin upright with some of the protection schemes we had. But you got to credit that offensive line. They took the challenge. We challenged them that this is a really good up front four. We were able to run the ball and at a decent cap and then also keep Devin upright through most of the game.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the defense, where a lot of those seniors played, and I thought They like you said, they played with their hair on fire. They played aggressive. They wanted to go out on a good note and a lot of good things. And we'll start with a very opportunistic DJ Miller jumping on that ball and nearly getting the scoop and score.
I mean, I wanted him to score so bad for the last game there, but that's just DJ. And he probably doesn't mind me. Sure, he sent me a text late that night, and it was one of those texts like, "Coach, no, it was a tough year, but I just know you're moving in the right direction, and I wish I could be here for all of it." And that just speaks to DJ and who he is. He's just a person who gave so much to this program, and that game was a total. He played outstanding. Honestly, it wasn't. I don't think a completion on him the whole game. I don't believe. And the energy, the effort he played, you could tell was his last game, and he wanted to go out the right way.
Well, let's kind of shift focus because our fans see 12, 13, hopefully 14 weeks a year, but it's a 12-month, 365-day a year job. So I say that you guys go back to the lab, you start doing some of the work behind the scenes. So kind of let us peek behind the curtain a little bit. What is next for Coach Burns, the staff of the Kent Grid era over these next few weeks before we see you on recruiting day and then obviously in spring ball?
Yeah, well, year one is all about teaching everybody how to do things. So we spent the last 12 months really teaching coaches, trainers, doctors how we do things here, and teaching our players obviously how we do things too. So everybody's learning, which is kind of new. But by the end of this thing, you're hoping that everybody kind of gets the idea of what we're trying to get accomplished here, and they're doing it themselves. When you start year two, now it's more so teaching everybody how to compete at the level we want them to compete with. Now they know what they're doing. How do you teach them to compete? And when you're competing, the only way to win, you got to be 2 feet in. So our kind of off-season mantra is all in. Like everybody's all in. There's no kind of filling out what we're doing. Now we all know what to do. Let's give everything we can to it. Be intentional about our work. You're going to see these N words: intentional, intense, inspirational. So those are things we talked about this morning in our team meeting, and we've dived into that right after the game. Honestly, we met as a team today, this morning. We met as a staff yesterday, and we're full steam ahead. And we'll spend this next week having exit meetings with our players and just making sure we're all on the same page, seeing where our roster is going to be with obviously the transfer portal, which is a new element to this thing. Then our guys will do finals. We'll have some time off. And that's good. They need it. And our coaches will hit the road recruiting for about 2.5 weeks, and then signing days on the 20th. And we've got a really good recruiting class. I think it's the whole thing. The next 2 weeks is keeping them, and adding a couple guys there. And then we'll dive into the transfer portal too over the next 2 weeks and see, okay, where's our roster at and what do we need? And see if we can get those pieces we need to be a championship caliber team. And then we'll all take some time off. And then January 3rd, our staff will be back in the office, and we'll have a big transfer portal official visit weekend. And then our guys are back January 14th, and we're into winter conditioning. And winter conditioning is huge for us. We're going to attack it. And, our biggest thing right now in winter conditioning is going to be maturity. When doing what we have to do becomes doing what we want to do as a football program. And I think that's going to be big this year. These guys know what they have to do now. Now it's got to be what they want to do, and they got to put the effort and energy into that.
Well, and you also spoke about year one kind of building that culture. And as you bring in recruits and you bring in guys from the transfer portal, now you've got a whole locker room worth of guys that can help you with that recruiting pitch because they're the ones carrying out the culture that you've kind of instilled.
Yeah, the first year you don't have that, and you're teaching. You've got guys hosting recruits who don't have any idea what this is going to be like for them. So it's really hard for them. But yeah, now it's a lot easier because guys are going to come in and they're going to be able to get taught by not only their coaches but the other players on how we do things, and that is so important to a program. And not only that, but having guys that actually believe in it. And our young kids that played this year, they believe in what we're doing. And that's why you saw the energy and effort all the way to the end. And to have guys come in and see there's not a kink in the armor. We all are one arm going this way, all in. And it's going to be easier for those guys to jump exactly into what we're doing. And I always say the future looks bright, man. And I know this year was tough, and I get it. But I am so excited about our future and our football team moving forward. And I've never been more eager to get to work.
That was going to bring me kind of my last question. It is an exciting offseason. Do you think it's going to be one that flies by, or one that you're like just itching for September and August to get here to start the year two to get to, and see kind of the fruits of your labor that have gone into the first, what is going to be year and a half?
Yeah, I think I always have the itch to play again because I love the atmosphere of college football. It's unique. I don't think there's anything like it. But I also know the importance of what this offseason is, and I know the importance that we have to grow. Just because you become a freshman to a sophomore doesn't mean you're a better player. You got to put the effort and the time in and and draw from your past to create a better player than what you were before. And I told our guys, I said, my job is to out-recruit you, either recruit you with a better version of yourself or find someone that can come in and take this thing to a championship level. And I told them, I said, I would love to out-recruit them with a better version of themselves, but they hold the key to that.
Well, Coach, we'll see you on December 20th for signing day to talk about the next phase in the state of the program. And best of luck over the next couple of weeks. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I appreciate all the fan support all year. The future looks bright, and stick with us, and go Flashes, can't grit.
Welcome back to Flash Talk. We're brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling. We're live inside our GFTV studios. Dan Griffin alongside the voice of the Golden Flashes, Rob Polisky. And Rob, thank you for taking your maiden voyage with us here on Flash Talk.
Yeah, this is a little scary, but thanks for having me, Dan. My pleasure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how you came to be with the Golden Flash. I know you were in the radio booth for a long time before you became the voice of the Golden Flashes. So tell us the origin story.
Well, came in 2008, at the end of 2008, to help out with color, and they were going to have me do one game, and it was play-by-play for the day after Thanksgiving when they hosted Buffalo they played at Buffalo, to end the 2008 season. So it was Julian Edelman's last game at Kent State. Did that game, and then in the offseason, I guess they decided to make a switch with the gentleman who was doing color at the time. So I came in and did color for football from 2009 through 2019. And then with COVID and everything in the short season in 2020, was asked to do play-by-play. So that's kind of how it happened. Helped out with some of the other sports, but mostly it's been football since 2008.
Well, let's kind of pick your brain a little bit about, you mentioned Julian Edelman's last game. He's arguably, at least in the modern era, the most famous Golden Flash, or at least one of them. Just some of the players and moments that stand out to you. We've seen an awful lot of good football, especially as of late, coming through Kent.
No doubt about that. I think you look back to that 2012 team. For me, that was a thrill because they won the East Division, went to Ford Field in that run. You think back to the win at Rutgers, who wasn't in the Big Ten at the time, but Power 5 school. They go there and they win. And you had Dree Archer, Trayon Durham. That group was tremendous. I remember when they clinched it at Bowling Green. Luke Wallet had an interception in the end zone, and they clinched that. That was a tremendous thrill. Of course, the bowl win, the Frisco Bowl, I'm always going to remember that, being able to be part of that season and end the year with their first ever, bowl victory. I think those would be some of the highlights, Dan. And then in 2021, to be able to do the play-by-play, when again they won the East Division, unfortunately lost at Ford Field to Northern Illinois, but those are some of the thrills and some of the individuals that you think of.
Yeah, you've seen some great moments. That comeback against Buffalo, the breakup by Montre Miller in the end zone, to clinch the East. I mean, we've had some moments that you've been certainly been a part of, but you mentioned also that you've been a part of a number of different sports. You've taken on a bigger role this year with hoops as well. Just some defining moments there as well. A favorite place that you've been, whether it be with the men, with hoops, or with the football team.
Yeah, I think when we went to Army for football, that was special. When you think about everybody that has been at Army, and you think about the history of our country and all that, and if that doesn't hit you, make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, I don't know what will. So that was a thrill. And then, of course, just seeing some of these different venues that we get to go to with football, whether it be Alabama or Virginia, some of those schools in the South, that it's really a religion, how serious they take it, and game day. That's been a thrill to see these places up close in person, places that you only saw on TV growing up. So the places I've been able to see over the last 15 years, that's what I'll always remember.
For sure. And when they're reaching out to you and I to come on and talk on radio shows and things like that, is a different beast when it comes to SEC and football down south.
Right, like they think I know something. They want to ask me.
I have no idea why anybody would want to talk to me, but you and I have both been guests on shows across the Southeast Conference, and that always kind of strikes me going, all right, like. Yeah, sure. Like let's talk some Flashes football.
I knew Alabama football was a big deal when we got off the bus at the hotel the first time we went there, and there were reporters and there were cameras and there were television crews there watching the team exit the bus to go to the hotel.
But let's talk a little bit about this year's men's basketball team. I know you'll be behind the mic there.
Yeah, no doubt. That James Madison double overtime loss was a thriller. Unfortunately, came up short. You know, the win over Fresno State was a great win, and there's a lot of individuals on this team. And I think heading into conference play, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this edition, Team 108. There's no doubt about it.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for a few moments of your time. You can catch us on ESPN Cleveland, the ESPN app, and obviously our partnership with 14 and 1220 AM up in Cleveland. So you're all across the radio dial.
We are up and down the dial. Thank you, Dan.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the Kent State Athletic Campus. As always, we're brought to you by KSUTix.com. On Thursday, our men's basketball team welcomes in Shawnee State. It'll be Thirsty Thursday with drink discounts all game long and a hot dog deal. Tickets are just $10 with no ticket fee on the day of the game, and it's our faculty staff appreciation night. Our men's basketball team is next back at home on Saturday, December 9th, welcoming in Cleveland State. It'll be our Kent State sneaker giveaway, plus our Coaches versus Cancer game. On Friday, December 8th, our wrestling team is opening up at home with a quad meet starting at 1 p.m. It'll be our holiday sweater ornament giveaway and another faculty staff appreciation day. And on Sunday, December 10th, our gymnastics teams opened up their season with the blue and gold scrimmage. Welcome back inside the GFTV studios. It is Flash Talk, brought to you by Brian Heating and Cooling. Dan Griffin alongside head women's basketball coach Todd Starkey. And Coach, quickly approaching is your first home game of the year. It's got to feel nice to be able to play in the friendly confines of the Mac Center for once.
Yeah, we got to be one of the only Division I teams in America. Hadn't played at home yet, so we've obviously been road warriors here, and we're really excited about Wednesday and getting to play Coppin State here at home.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the games since you last joined us. We'll start in the Queen City against a Xavier team that kind of a back and forth game, but then you really finished strong in the fourth quarter to put the Musketeers away.
Yeah, we just really struggled to shoot the ball. It's kind of been a common theme, unfortunately, early is our shooting woes. But as a team, it's a really good shooting team, and we're shooting about 26% from the three-point line now. The nice thing is we found ways to win some games even despite that. Against Xavier, it was no different. Had a really cold shooting first half. I think scored 21 first-half points and found ourselves behind. Made some adjustments at halftime. Shot the ball a little bit better, but second half outscored them 43-29 and really had a great fourth quarter to bring that win home.
Then you guys go on the road almost instantaneously going down to Florida. You put yourself in it wasn't a tournament, but a tournament type of atmosphere in games on back-to-back days. Setback to UT Chattanooga, but obviously bounced back very nicely with another Power 5 win taking down the Mizzou Tigers.
Yeah, probably, and we already talked about the shooting woes. I probably had the worst three-point shooting game since I've been at Kent State. I mean, we shot 9% from the three-point line, 2 of 22, got some good looks, and you make some of those and maybe find a way to win. But, credit to Chattanooga. I mean, they're a NCAA tournament team from last year and have most of their team back and a nice transfer in, and they made it difficult on us, and they deserve victory on that day for sure. Really proud of the way our team rebounded from that. We talked about it. We addressed some things, and our team came back and had a monumental win against an SEC opponent in Missouri.
And again, it was a strong fourth quarter finish. I believe you had a 10-0 run in there to erase a late Tiger lead, and then kind of rinse and repeat from last year. You call Corinne Hauser's name, and she gets you a bucket down the stretch against the Power 5 team.
Yeah, no question. I mean, Corinne had a tough game against UT Chattanooga and came out and had one of her best games in a Kent State uniform, having 17 points and eight assists on one turnover against a good team, and hit that great shot in about 12 seconds left, running a sideline inbounds play. And I thought our players did a great job of when we got off to an early lead, they punched back and took the lead in the fourth quarter. I think we're up by 8, and then just really executed down the stretch. Did some really nice things. Corinne hits that big shot. Obviously, is what we remember. But Michaela Morris had her best game in a Kent State uniform as well, with 18 points and 9 rebounds, and was named to the All-Conference team. So I was excited about that.
Well, not only, you also mentioned the fact that she hit that shot with 12 seconds left. It's not what you'd say a buzzer beater. You needed a defensive stop in order to seal that game as well. And they get a couple of looks down underneath the basket, and you're able to slam the door shut ice it at the free throw line.
Yeah, great defense, and obviously I said all conference. I meant all tournament team from Michaela Morris, but a great effort defensively down the stretch, getting stops against a really good offensive team that was averaging coming in that game almost 10 threes a game. We held them under that average at 7. We said that was going to have to be the case, and so defensive possessions, defensive stops down the stretch, and we continued to score. And then Katie Shoemate sealed it with 2 free throws at the end of the game.
Well, we fast forward a little bit on Coppin State with the Powder Blue Out, your home opener, and then a rematch at a game you probably have had circled for a while with Florida State.
Yeah, Coppin State is a tough opponent. They've already beat a Power 5 team in Pitt. They're athletic, very unpredictable team, have the ability to score it, so we're going to have to be really solid there on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll get a great crowd for our Powder Blue Out. And then a trip down to Tallahassee this coming weekend to play the Seminoles, who are playing really well, top 10 team in the country, and really score the ball well, and we're going to have our hands full with them. But we're excited about those opportunities, and we certainly embrace that.
Well, Coach, it's been a wild start to the season on the road, but kudos to you and your staff. Like you said, you mentioned the shooting woes, but you're finding ways to win, and that's the important thing.
Finding ways to win in road games, and hopefully that'll create a battle-tested team when tournament time. I mean, when the regular season and tournament time comes, and that's what we're preparing for. But excited about the week ahead, and looking forward to some good things.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck in this 2-game week. We look to have you on the show here shortly.
All right, sounds good. Go Flashes.
That's going to do it for this edition of Flash Talk, brought to you by Brian Heating and Cooling. Join us next week for the semester finale as we look one more time into the world of Kent State athletics. For all of us here inside the GFTV studios, this is Dan Griffin saying goodnight and go Flashes.